Volunteer vetch, or tares, can be a serious constraint for pulse growers. Not only is it difficult to control and a strong competitor against crops, it is also a serious grain contaminant. Only 2 tare seeds are allowed in a 100 gram sample. Any more can result in loads being rejected or downgraded. Adding to the challenge for lentil growers is that tares is difficult to clean out of the grain. Stefan Schmitt from Agricultural Consulting and Research recognised the impact tares was having on pulse production, particularly lentils, and was successful in receiving funding from the South Australian Grain Industry Trust to investigate control options. Stefan's research is assessing pre- and post-emergent herbicide applications in lentils, as well as herbicide stacking to improve control.
So I've sown sire lentils, which are GIA's clopyralid tolerant lentils. I've sown GIA Metro, which are GIA's metribuzin tolerant lentils, and Thunder lentils, which are also from GIA, which are IMI tolerant. I should add that those other 2 varieties are also IMI tolerant. The metribuzin treatments look pretty good, but I'd probably only give metribuzin a suppression rating at best from what I've seen in the trial. Maybe sequential applications are better, but it's a tool. But in this trial, we've actually got a reasonable control using IMI products in lentils, so it shows that the population is actually susceptible to group 2s or IMI herbicides still, which isn't the case everywhere. Like, I've got some clients where we will spray paddocks with Intervix over the top of Thunder lentils and we will get 30% survival because of group 2 resistance in the population. So hence why we've done this trial to look at other groups than group 2's control of tares.
To help inform his research, Stefan surveyed his fellow South Australian independent consultants. 2/3 of respondents said 20% of their clients had issues with tares in lentil crops, while the remaining third said 50% of their clients had issues with tares in lentils. With this in mind and no local research on tares control in lentils available, Stefan established a trial at Malala in 2025 focusing on narrowleaf and broadleaf tares and the latest herbicide tolerance traits in lentils.
And each plot I've taken 2 assessments of the number of vetch that were existing prior to the post-emergent sprays going out. There were 2 post-emergent spray timings and 13 treatments in the trial. So some plots have only had 1 spray timing of a product and some have had sequential applications of different products.
Stefan says successful control of tares may vary depending on different regions, with nuance an important consideration in the trial results.
I think for people that as they increase the frequency of lentils in their rotation, particularly if they've got a problem with tares, so that can get away from you quite quickly because they can set a prolific amount of seed and spread around. You might be lucky enough that and the majority are, that you can get a reasonable job using intercept in crop, but on certain types that it is a bit nuanced depending on the type of vetch at the control you'll get, so depending on where you are, so don't expect you'll get 100% control. But also in some paddocks where you've got this resistance to intercept, you may need to look at other strategies to control. There is options in Metro lentils to put metribuzin post-emergent. It does have some activity on tares. It's not 100% control. I'd probably give it a suppression rating. And again, there's differences in the tare type in how well it controls it.
Stefan says more knowledge on how to control important weeds is critical, particularly with lentil production increasing in intensity across South Australia. Stefan is hoping results from his research will support the profitability and expansion of South Australia's pulse industry.
Yeah, I think it's still a frustration. Like, I've got some long-term clients that have been battling tares on their farm ever since they started growing lentils, and we're still not on top of them, even though we have had some pretty robust control measures. So, for them, they'd like to see it eradicated so they don't have to worry about it. It's not at a contamination level, but it doesn't take long for it to get back to those levels. Whilst the receival sites, they offer different ways that you can get docked, and they offer cleaning grades and all these sort of things, which does make it easier if you do have an issue compared to maybe 10 to 15 years ago. It still is a frustration to get a dock, or if it does get bad enough, it does limit your market access and you have to look at cleaning. So that's why there's still a fair bit of passion from growers to see it control. And it's a particular issue in the mid-north, like with bean growers. It's one of the consultants over that way said that it was probably the largest weed issue in beans in that area. So if that area is going to switch over to lentils, or some of this work can maybe uncover some better ways to control tares in their beans that have got group 2 tolerance, I guess that gives a bit of an idea of how big the issue is.